I do find myself using the Heliocor more and more, and I don't really know why. I mean, the Fragor Prime has 19.5 slash over this thing's 7 slash. It has 19.5 puncture. This thing only has 14, but that only has 91 impact. This has 119. Even down to things like status. The Heliocor is not a status weapon. It only has 2.5. It's pretty worthless putting an element on it, unfortunately. Fragor Prime has 10. The Fragor Prime even has 35% crit chance. This only has 25. Even the Jat Kitag, everything is worse, but that does have 25% status. Again, Heliocor only has 2.5. Even when you compare it to things like the War, I mean, the War has 112 impact. This still wins with 119. But again, that has more status. So when it comes to status, pretty much everything is better than this. Unless you jump to something like the Cyanoid Heliocor, which, well, if we have a look at the stats here, it is worse on every damage elemental side of this. It's just worse. The crit is pretty much non-existent. It does have a much higher attack speed, I will give it that, and it does have the 20% status, which means the Cyanoid Heliocor is better for status, but worse for every single thing other than that. And that is why I run the normal Heliocor, because I have it kind of set up for crit, using the whole Blood Rush, Body Count, True Steel, Organ Shatter setup, which gives it 40% crit chance. That's not actually that bad. It's the body count increasing the timer that kind of makes this work. With Blood Rush, of course, that adds 165% critical chance, and that stacks with the combo multiplier. So this thing just crits much better than anything else I've used. Okay, it's a little bit less than the Fragor Prime, but that can kind of be overlooked because this just simply does more damage. And what annoys me when I look at my build here every single time is I didn't really need the extra dash here. I don't know how I originally had this set up, so I've threw True Steel in this, because when I did put this polarity in, it dumped the mod that was over here, but I recently kind of found out that I have been running this thing very inefficiently. Because I have Collision Force in here, which is 120% impact, when I have Primed Heavy Trauma here, which I throw that in, and it adds almost 200 impact to this. Let's say 150 for argument's sake, because it is closer to 150. That's a huge improvement on this thing. So this is pretty much how I run this now. I don't regret it. There are other weapons that suit other things, but just day-to-day use I run this, and that mainly comes down to the fact that I use the Naramon focus tree, and once you activate that, you pretty much run around invisible every time you hit for a crit melee, and that is why I tend to run crit-based weapons. Okay, the multiplier on this is only 3.8. There are other mods I could have used for this. Same as the Berserker and the Primed Fury, I wouldn't really have needed. If the Cyanoid Heliocor just had, I mean, even 15% crit, because this is only supposed to have, I think it was 20%? Oh, it was 25% now I think about it. So, this thing is, it's not really the best of weapons. It is far from that. But I've used it up to level 130 enemies, and once you get the combo counter to 2.5 times the damage, with the 3.8 times multiplier, the 40% crit chance, which of course that then goes up 165% with the Blood Rush mod on there, so you're almost critting every single hit. This thing is actually quite a beast, and I think there's just something satisfying about killing an enemy and then seeing it glow green as if to say, yep, you've killed this one, move on to the next one. And of course that's just because the Heliocor scans enemies, which is the other reason I use this, because when new enemies are added, rather than run around with Helios, who I have equipped anyway, I can use this and pretty much scan any new enemy as long as Helios doesn't kill them first.